again. Welcome back to our second episode of the Loose Leaf Halloween specials. So let's get into it here. I'm excited to talk today.
You sound excited.
I'm very excited to talk today.
Obviously.
And I know what y'all are thinking. Why did we not go and see Joker for a review this weekend? Or excuse me, Joker Folie à Deux.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I think so. I don't know.
What does that mean?
I don't know French.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why we didn't see it because we thought it'd be in French.
We thought the movie was going to be spoken in French with no subtitles, and we're
exactly.
just like
fuck that.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga learned French for this movie. Yeah, I don't think though that's what the movie is at all. It's a musical, right?
It's a musical and it's a Joker movie, and I'm just not interested. Me
neither. I didn't love the first one. I liked a lot of qualities of it, but mostly I didn't like the script. And so my intrigue for seeing the second one was like a little less this time around. I like the idea of Lady Gaga playing Harley Quinn. That just makes sense to me. But
what? Wait, whoa. That cannot be a compliment to a woman. When you look at a woman, it's like, oh, you look like you could be a Harley Quinn.
I don't know. I mean, she just seems like she has like that energy, and kind of like her, like, cause she's a like a performance artist in a lot of ways.
I saw her perform when I was working in Chicago at the United Center.
I remember you telling me about
out of body experience, just the whole night.
I can imagine. Yeah, but that was really the only intrigue I ever had to even see the new one. But now I'm hearing that it's not great from a lot of critics, and I'm hearing that it underperformed yesterday at the box office for preview nights. And for everybody, we're recording this on October 4th, so it's like the first weekend of October, but this will be released next week on October 11th, I believe. But we're not going to go and review Joker.
It's kind of interesting how there's not a lot of excitement for this sequel because the first one made $1 billion.
It did, and it was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars
and Best Actor, right?
And he won.
Yeah, he won. Yeah, so a comic book movie winning Best Actor,
won Best Original Score as well year.
And this one is a musical, and it probably won't even win. It can't win Best Original Score, right? Because it's all covers. I think it's a
jukebox musical, and I don't know like what that means for like the story or whatever, but. There's a lot of ideas there that would be intriguing to me, but now I was already very skeptical about wanting to go see it in the first place, and now that I'm hearing that it's not very good, it makes me want to go waste my time to see it less. So.
I did like the first trailer though.
I loved that. It was a great trailer.
The world needs now when they're dancing together. That is nice, but
that really cool shot of like him like putting his face like perfect symmetry with that like lipstick smile that Harley Quinn puts on the glass. That was like cool. Looked good.
But not enough to want to go see the movie.
Exactly. I mean, I've seen plenty of movies where like all of the performances and technical elements are top notch, and then the script is just nothing. Just so bland. And that's always kind of the worst feeling to me.
And they spent $200 million to make the second Joker.
I saw that, and knowing that it like made only half the amount the first did for its Thursday night previews makes me feel like.
And with the $200 million movie, you have to make $1 billion basically.
Pretty much.
You probably spent another $100 million on
just the marketing,
and then I guess whatever you make anyway, a third of it is going to the theaters or the distributors. So
and who knows how much the actors are paid in advance for this too, or if they're like supposed to get like a certain amount of the profits that the movie garners. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. A Joker movie without Batman to me just doesn't sound interesting. Like
it only worked so much in the first movie.
Yeah.
And it was just like
I don't want to see a Lex Luthor movie.
Not really, right?
Right, like what?
Like out of like a lot of like villainous characters from comic books, there's only so many that could probably get away with their own solo story. Joker being one of them, clearly. But now it's like, why are we still here doing it?
Yeah,
and I'm making a lot of predeterminations about a movie I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen the original Joker.
Okay,
so I'm worse than you. So, but I don't hear people talking about this movie as particularly in a positive light.
No, not as favorable as the first one.
No,
and For that reason, I'm just like, I don't really feel like I need to rush to see this movie. Maybe I'll watch it one day, but I don't think we're going to review this movie for the podcast.
Maybe when you're sick.
Yeah.
And you're just on the couch and it's like, how can I waste my time?
Right. Oh, I'll watch that second Joker movie now. I don't know.
Well, a movie like that is either got to be a really fun super villain movie, or it has to be a great musical. You know what I mean? It's like that Mean Girls musical.
Oh yeah.
It's not a better movie than the first Mean Girls, and it's not even a good
shout out
musical.
October 3rd. That was yesterday too.
What?
Mean Girls Day.
Oh wow. Damn. I just did not recognize that reference, but sure.
I only ever remember that like when I see like online memes about it. But hey, I'm here for it. I think it's like the 20-year anniversary of the original Mean Girls.
Would you rather see a Mean Girls musical or a Joker musical?
I mean, I saw the Mean Girls musical. So.
And you're not embarrassed to say that out loud?
Here's the thing about that.
Okay.
I didn't see it in theaters. I waited till I was super bored.
Okay.
And had a couple drinks, and I was sitting at home, and I was like, I don't know what to watch. And I'm like, maybe I should watch that Mean Girls remake that everybody says is absolutely terrible because I'm curious.
So in 2 weeks when Joker 2 is on HBO Max, you'll tell me the same thing. It's like, I was drunk at home, so laying on the couch, and I saw Joker 2 was on HBO Max a week ago, and so I'm like, why not? Like, I got around to watching Joker 2.
That'll be a segment. Davis's secluded drunk watches.
Rom-coms, and Davis's drunk watches.
Yeah, definitely.
Segments.
I love the idea.
I'm trying to think of a movie that I watched drunk. Like, I don't know if I've ever done that.
I hate to mention it, but I watched Twisters drunk.
Oh. Twisters, not Twister.
Yeah,
okay,
Twisters.
So did that improve?
No, you know this. It did not.
You know what?
I don't know why I do this to myself. It doesn't help. I guess it just makes it easier to get through. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, for me, I think Twisters would have been better if I was a little buzzed.
It probably for you as somebody that enjoyed it, it probably would have been.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it as much as you did.
No.
We keep going back to Twisters.
Yeah, it's funny. I think Warner Brothers were one of the co-producers for Twisters. That studio's having excuse me, let me collect myself.
Yeah,
that studio's having a very interesting year. I don't know if they're doing so well.
You mean duds? Just dropping bombs?
Well, Dune 2 did great, and it's at this point clearly still their front runner this year for like their best film that they produced. And then they had Furiosa, which severely underperformed.
Good movie, but didn't do well.
Twisters did very well, but a lot of people had mixed feelings on the movie as in and of itself. And now Joker, which is clearly on the fast track to underperform and not do nearly as well as the first one critically.
You know what they need to do? They should do a Dune musical.
They should not
do. For 3.
Dune
3, yeah.
Dune Messiah should be...
Dune Messiah, but like jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
Yeah, and the sandworms have like top hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring out their they
like. You think Dune 3 should be folk?
They should be. Well, I mean, because Chalamet's playing. Yeah.
Look at my life.
Chalamet's playing Bob Dylan
like
this year, so it's just like it could do
that's
some
not
folk.
Bob Dylan, but
well, I mean,
I think that's Neil Young.
Yeah, sure.
No,
I like Neil Young, but I don't know that song.
Oh man, take a look at my life. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh man, look at my.
I'm a lot like you.
That'll be the first. That's the first thing that Paul Atreides will say in the
exactly. I think we should make Dune 3 into a musical. Why not?
Yeah, you send that to Denis Villeneuve, and I'm sure
we've been fucking his name up like crazy on this podcast.
But just so he knows, we love him. We adore his films.
Yes, he's a great filmmaker.
Maybe it's sometimes easier to clown people that you feel so compassionately attached to as a filmmaker. I
feel that way as your friend. Like you make more
fair.
fun of me as we get closer.
That's true. Yeah. And you don't think so?
I hate you.
Oh, okay. You don't need to because
I've hated you since the beginning.
Well, you're definitely more level-headed than I am. I have to get to that degree of hate.
At least you're a good judge of character.
That's what they tell me.
No, but
So we're not
gonna see.
We're not seeing Joker. So get over it. We don't want to.
Anyway,
aren't
we here for
Halloween we're here for Halloween movies. We'll get to Coppola.
I missed you. It's been a while since
I've missed you too. Have y'all missed us out there? Let us know in the comments.
Not.
Specifically, tell us that we missed you. Our egos are so 6 feet up. I'm just kidding. We're doing good. It's good to see you though too. But today, welcome back to the Loose Leaf Media Podcast for our Loose Leaf Halloween special. My name is Davis Leaf. I'm here with my co-host
YSL Rowe.
Totally. He's got pseudonyms now.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite, not just horror movies, but one of my all-time favorite movies, Wes Craven's Scream, his original 1996 film. And I'm sure we'll touch on small details about where the series goes from there, because I have a lot of admiration for every one of the films in this franchise, but specifically we'll be talking about the original. And you just saw this movie for your first time.
I saw this movie a few days ago, and I've had time to sit on it.
I know that you don't like horror movies, but I'm still pretty baffled that this was your first time seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those movies that I put into the same category as other slashers. Like I've just avoided. I've seen Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Okay, so you've seen like Wes Craven with like his
with Friday the 13th, right? That's what.
He did Nightmare on Elm Street.
And John Carpenter.
John Carpenter did Halloween.
Yes,
and then I honestly have no idea who did. Friday the 13th.
No one does.
I don't like those movies.
He's missing.
Yeah. I love Jason, but I don't love those movies.
Interesting. We should, man. Okay. Anyway, I just put Scream in all like the same category as all those other slash movies, but
it's easy to do because it has been very franchise driven, like all of those other movies.
Yeah. From the outside looking in, yeah. Well, of course, a lot of those movies have tons of sequels. I think the Friday the 13th has like 10
it's
sequels.
Got a lot. I think it's more than that even.
Probably.
I don't know.
I've seen I've peppered a few of them in my life, but I haven't seen all of those movies.
Neither have I. I've comfortably watched the first three from Friday the 13th. The first two are decent enough. They're pretty generic, but they're watchable slashers. They obviously there's like an iconic ending for the first one, which this movie Scream homages quite a bit, and the sequel would go on to do as well.
Yeah.
I've seen like comfortably the first three Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and then with Friday the 13th, I saw those late 2000s or like remakes that they did for those movies.
I've seen comfortably the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Interesting sentence to say.
Yeah.
No.
Like the first three.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of those ones as well. And then Halloween, I've seen at least half of them in that franchise because there's a lot.
There's a ton of Halloween
as well.
There's some that even like it's just Halloween again.
Exactly.
Right. Like it's not.
I've seen Halloween. This is the most confusing thing. This franchise is ridiculous. Yeah. But I've seen Halloween, the original John Carpenter. I've seen Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And then I'm probably gonna watch this month, but I've never seen Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Because it's the only one in the
little girl, right?
It's the only one in the franchise without Michael Myers.
It's the girl that's a psychic, right? And she's killing people.
I don't remember. I haven't seen the movie, but I know that there's kind of like a cult admiration for that one. Yeah. I haven't seen like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever the fuck after that. I think I saw Halloween. I don't know if it was Resurrection or the other one, but it was one with where Jamie Lee Curtis ended up returning in the late 90s for the sequel. And I saw that one, but then I didn't see that one after that had Busta Rhymes in it.
Oh, is he in those movies?
He's in like Halloween Resurrection or something.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But then I saw Halloween, the Rob Zombie remake from 2007.
Is it good?
I like it.
Okay.
It's darker. It's a lot more violent and grotesque. And his sequel, Halloween 2, I also saw. And also is very dark and grotesque. And I had an appreciation for the style of those movies.
Halloween 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo, yeah.
Electric Boogaloo.
And then I saw all three of the recent ones. Halloween, not the original one, not the Rob Zombie one, just the new one.
Halloween,
just Halloween, which is actually Halloween 2, a direct sequel to the original John Carpenter Halloween.
So these people just have no
it's
idea.
absolutely insane what happens. And
It's
then
confusing.
I saw Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends in that trilogy.
The more I learn about Scream, though, it does seem like there is a method to the madness with all the sequels.
Very much so, because they're all commentating about some form of horror or the industry itself, and a lot of them are also spread out over long periods of time.
And that's what I'll compliment about this movie, is that it was a mistake to categorize it in with other slasher movies. And I don't think I've ever seen a movie that's like Scream, because it's part horror slash slasher. The mad slinging
slinging slasher.
the brass bringing,
the match pigging.
I love that we were.
That's good. That was good.
No, we're idiots. No,
yes, we are.
Yeah. So
they love
it. I made a big mistake by categorizing this movie, because it's a lot of different things. It's satire.
It's a satire. It's
a
meta
comedy.
It's meta commentary.
It's still horror.
It's very, because when the horror is happening, it feels like horror.
Yeah.
Like it takes itself seriously when Ghostface is running around chasing somebody with a fucking knife.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's violent too at the same time. It holds nothing back once the horror really starts, but then it'll cut to a character probably commentating on what just occurred in a different scene without knowing what had even occurred.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's that kind of editing and that type of like character staging that makes it really good. So when like Kevin Williamson was in the process of writing this movie, he wrote the script in 30 days, and he wanted to subvert expectations for a lot of reasons by stating that he wants this movie to feel like a product of its time, where a lot of slasher movies want to remain timeless and watchable. Well, just not just slashers, but horror movies in general, wanted to remain watchable over decades and not feel like they're dating themselves too much, which many horror movies do. But then you have examples like Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist or the original Halloween that will always remain timeless and be watchable in any period of time. But he wanted to go against the grain by kind of making the film feel very current and casts people that you would not expect to be in the roles that they are in, because Neve Campbell was not the biggest star in the world at the time.
No.
And when the movie was beginning, they wanted Drew Barrymore to play Sidney Prescott. And
Sidney Prescott being the main character.
The main character,
right.
Yes. But Drew Barrymore herself specifically stated that she actually wanted to play Casey Becker in the beginning of the movie, who is the first person, well, not the first person, but technically the first kill of the movie.
Yeah, don't forget her boyfriend.
I know, Steve, yeah. See, if Ghostface called me and quizzed me on that, I would have gotten that wrong and died.
Which, by the way, I do really love the first scene of this movie, because it sets the tone.
It's
for
iconic
the rest
as
of the movie.
hell.
And
because it's cheeky. It starts off cheeky, but then becomes more dreadful as the scene goes on.
And it almost plays on that fear if you're ever just in a big house at night alone and there's a lot of negative space. There's tons of big windows that shows the outside. And
so many wide shots that always give you this impression that somebody is watching her.
Right. Now, this movie is technically well done.
It is very good.
I do enjoy a lot of the artistry that's going on in the background, because it supports a movie that if it could easily go wrong. Like the dialogue is very corny.
Yeah.
It's a very 90s movie.
It is very much a 90s movie.
There's a lot of like what was the text that I sent you when one character's like fuckhead or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just like, shut up, fuckhead. Like, yeah, okay. Like
that is such a 90s thing to say.
It just was the style,
the clothes, the hair. Yeah.
No, the telephone scene when Ghostface is talking to Drew Barrymore and basically doing movie trivia to save her boyfriend that's outside strapped to a chair. I'm like just thinking while I'm watching this, man, if my girl was strapped to a chair and I had to do movie trivia, she probably would be murdered, because I don't think I could handle the pressure
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody could.
I would be mouthing to her like, I'm sorry, I love you. Like,
what's cool is like that's not the last time that this series does a sequence like exactly like that. But anytime it's like they redo it like 2 or 3 times, but it's always paying homage to that original, and it's always doing that like kind of in universe where it knows it's paying homage to the original.
Yeah.
And so anytime that happens, the character is always under such duress when they're being like quizzed on this movie trivia, and every single time it's great and it's thrilling. But in this first original movie, it's very cheeky with the way that Ghostface gets her with like the Jason question, just like who is name the killer in Friday the 13th, and she's immediately so confident with her answer being Jason. Then he's like, nope, it was his mother. Yeah. He didn't appear until the sequel, and I'm like, damn. He's right. That's fucked up, though.
And he gets so...
anybody would say Jason.
And he gets so angry that she's wrong. He's, like, irritated with her that she didn't know this answer.
Yeah.
So it just...
Because when like, the reveal of the end of the movie is shown, it's just like, they're geeks.
Yeah.
The killers are geeks.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ridiculous for that reason, but also very timeless in that way, too. Because... you think, like, the series would also go on to commentate about this, too, but you think about how fan culture is today. People that are obsessed with movies or comic books or just pop culture.
Like us?
Yes, exactly like us. They are actually crazed obsessions.
Oh.
People go to extreme lengths with the way that they spread rhetoric online and the way that they behave and talk to other people about these things. Yeah. People are insane. And so when the killers are revealed by the very end of this movie as just these fucking geeks, it's just like, that's wild. That's fucking wild. And then they continue to just talk about movies as they're revealing their entire plan and their motives and everything.
Yeah.
Like when one of the first killers is revealed, he literally just like licks his like fingers and he's like, corn syrup, same stuff they use for pig's blood and Carrie. Yeah. And it's just like, these people are so deranged. But I like that element of it. That it's just like the killers are geeks and get personally offended when people aren't like correct with their answers.
Yeah. And there's just this movie's packed full of references to horror movies and slasher movies
everywhere.
There's the one custodian whose name is Freddy, and he's dressed as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, and he's just
from
like,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Henry Winkler's just like, sorry, Fred.
Yeah.
And did you know that guy is Wes Craven that plays him?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was Wes Craven.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, even Henry Winkler being in this movie was his sequence when he's murdered is just comedy. I feel like
fun fact, the reason they actually put that scene in the movie, they weren't even going to do that scene, but as Wes Craven was shooting the movie, he realized we haven't had somebody die in this movie for like an hour because there's only the opening scene that somebody is murdered, and then it's Henry Winkler's character, and it's like an hour into the movie at that point where another character actually dies, and it's like, we're making a slasher, right? How come we haven't had somebody die in an hour in this movie? And so that's why they're just like, let's just kill him.
So that's one issue that I had with this movie, because when he's murdered, I'm like, how does this fit into the movie at all? What's the logic? Yeah. Why was the principal killed? I guess that's a okay answer.
Because they hadn't killed somebody yet in a while. Usually most of the movies, as they follow up to, the killer always has such a different motive almost every single time, and the sequence of events in which they like carry out their murders usually has some sort of a theme attached to it.
My movie doesn't have enough murder. Let me throw some murder.
You throw some more in there, right?
Yeah. I will say though, I could understand why fans of the slasher genre like this movie. It especially in the 90s. I think that this probably was a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. Just something just new. Like it was something that they never seen before. And I've never seen a movie quite like this, right?
Sure.
But a lot of it was just lost on me because I'm not a fan of slashers. Yeah. And I mean, I will say that this would be a good introduction for anybody who wants to get into horror movies. Yeah. Like I'm not one of those people, but this was a good movie to start off with because we have a few movies coming up where I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know how I'm gonna watch that. Yeah, but
you've seen some of them though, right? Like, you've seen The Exorcist.
I've seen The Exorcist, but a long ass time ago.
Fair enough.
Honestly,
that movie ages like fine wine.
Honestly, man, I've even seen scarier movies than The Exorcist, I feel like.
I would say the same.
But like Poltergeist to me is fucking way scarier than
Poltergeist
Exorcist.
is a really scary movie.
Poltergeist is scary as hell, man. God damn. Candyman, scary as hell.
Candyman, that's a good one.
What's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
To be totally honest, probably The Mist.
Oh, with the monsters and
Frank Darabont adaptation of the Stephen King story.
Interesting.
Probably the scariest movie I've ever seen.
We should maybe next October we'll
maybe
watch The Mist.
It's one of my favorites for that reason. It's not one I can revisit easily, but I love the movie's dichotomy of like monsters being juxtaposed between human beings themselves and actual monsters. Sure. And that concept scares me because, you know, in any circumstance, like you watch like a dystopian or a post-apocalyptic movie, and most of those circumstances it likes to commentate on the fact of like whether or not it's like aliens, zombies, robots, nuclear fallout, whatever, the biggest enemy to humanity after that point becomes themselves and how we become animals, scramble for resources. And The Mist like really emphasizes those points very well when it just locks all these people in one very secluded location, nowhere to go.
Grocery store, right?
Yes. Yeah. Scares the shit out of all of them, and then they turn into diabolical animals, fanatics, murderers, thieves, just everything. And I love that movie for that reason. But it's not one of my favorites because it's hard to rewatch.
Yeah. Well, another thing I wanted to talk about Scream. We talked about a lot of the cinematography in that first scene, but there were a few shots that stood out to me. I do love how during the day they show the town, just because it's in such stark contrast to other horror movies where like most of the movie is in the dark. This does seem like just typical suburbia in America, and you have this murderer going around in, you know, a Halloween mask and with a butcher knife killing people, and it's just so shocking to these people's lives, right? And it reminded me a lot of like a Disney movie during the day, where you got like all these like big beautiful houses and like you see
goofy people around too.
Yeah,
like the cast is like they're super silly a lot of the time.
Dude, you know what really dated this movie for me? The fucking movie store. Like
the video store,
the video store. I was like, damn, bro. Remember just going to the video store with your family or your friends and trying to find a movie that you were gonna watch for that night, or like maybe you buy a few movies and watch them over the weekend.
I really would be interested to like honestly get a lot of your takes on like the later films in this series, because it becomes it like grows with the time, because the fourth one, there's like a 10-year gap between the third and the fourth one, and that takes place in 2011. So it commentates a lot on the state of movies during that period of history. And then the recent two are within the 2020s now, and they commentate a lot about the state of movies of today's culture, and it grows, and there is a lot of interesting elements that are added into that. And so I'd be interested one day to get your take on those.
Maybe we should, because horror movies I don't feel like they occupy the social conscious like maybe how they used to. Like, what's the last original horror movie that stood out to a lot of people besides Hereditary, right? Like Hereditary, I remember a lot of people talking about that.
That was a big deal. We went and saw Longlegs, this year, which was pretty good, but that also is kind of a hybrid of other genres, not just horror. I did a rewatch recently of Talk to Me, which came out last year. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good. And that one is up there for one of the last original ones I've seen. Before that, the year before that, I think, was Barbarian. Okay. Which was also terrific and highly original.
How about like slashers though?
Slashers, no.
Yeah, what's the slasher genre looking like in the past 20 years besides remakes?
Pretty dead. Yeah. Last year there was Eli Roth. Yeah, right. Last year there was Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which was intentionally campy. I watched it, I think, several months ago. I enjoyed it for what it was.
It like Black Christmas, where it's just like
it's a holiday themed slasher. It's very similar to Black Christmas.
So do they like take
anything
out of the turkey.
Yep, anything Thanksgiving related that you can think of, this movie probably did.
It's a motherfucker that's got the itis.
Yeah, there's
and
literally
they're falling asleep, and then the murderers come back and slit their throat while they're in
literally
the
a
lazy boy.
scene where like somebody is thrown into a giant oven, and then the killer puts like one of those like temperature readers and just like punctures this person with it.
Oh my god!
And then like later there's a bunch of people strapped to a dinner table, and the Thanksgiving pilgrim just reveals the body in in the figure of a turkey.
Oh, is it like it's the steel pan?
Yep,
and he just
with the
reveals
apple in the mouth and everything. Yeah, it goes for it.
Just drown the motherfucker in some cobbler. Just take it back of his head and just stuff it in some cobbler.
It really goes for it.
I'm just trying to think of every Thanksgiving just thing that you can,
like any of them that you can think of, they probably do in this movie.
Oh god,
it was ridiculous. I enjoyed it for what it was because it wasn't taking itself seriously. It was a gore fest, but it was just like, this is so ridiculous. But I've never seen a Thanksgiving themed slasher movie before, so I'm like, now I have.
What about Flag Day or other holidays? Like, what's the most
Flag Day?
Yeah, Flag Day was a guy dressed up as George Washington and just murdering people.
You know, what's going to be great is they could do that on Election Day this year.
Oh,
and
God.
And then just have like a President's Day themed slasher movie.
Hopefully it'll be a good day for us.
Someday, somebody will take that risk one day.
They probably already have. Like, there's so many low budget horror movies. A lot of directors, their first movie is a horror movie because they're so cheap to make. It's just a guy in a mask, and then you like fake blood.
Yeah. And it's not a popular genre. It is harder to sell for horror movies too.
Yeah.
But there's always such a great market for horror because it's such an innovative genre, and you can do pretty much anything you want with it. Kind of like science fiction in that way. Yeah. And that's why I love it. That's what makes it so unique too. But slashers have always been kind of like a favorite subgenre of mine for horror because I don't love like supernatural horror that much. I like a good science fiction horror. I like a good psychological horror. I like slashers a lot too, but this one really takes the cake for me.
I like a slice of life movie.
Slice of life movie.
Yeah, like Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
Like,
is that Julia Roberts?
Yeah, just a happy white woman eating ice cream.
I've never seen it. I never read the book, so.
Why are we watching horror movies? Why do people want to just watch scary shit?
Is Eat, Pray, Love like in the romance genre at all?
Yes.
Okay, let's watch Eat, Pray, Love for rom-coms in February.
Rom-coms. Stay tuned. Stick with us until February, so that you
hang in there.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention about Scream, because we keep going off topic, but that's okay. I do really love the main character, Sidney Prescott.
Neve Campbell's terrific.
She's really good in this role.
In this movie.
And a lot of slashers, you're watching characters, particularly women, that are making awful decisions, and they're just there to be murdered.
It's funny because
or sexualized, right?
Yeah, just sexually exploited or just like stupid in some way. And what's funny about her character is she kind of makes mention of that in one scene too, and then in the following scene she kind of does exactly what she says, which I think is so fucking funny too. It's like she's sitting there, it's just like, oh well, it's just like I hate those kind of movies. It's always some big-breasted girl that can't act who's running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting. And then 2 minutes later she runs up the stairs after the killer's chasing her. And it's like, it's funny. Yeah. But it's also like, I mean, you're being chased by a maniac in your own house with a fucking hunting knife. You're not going to make the most rational decisions in that moment.
And she's doing like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and shit. She's kicking them off. Like,
just wait till the later movies.
Maybe I should watch them because they're all on HBO.
Yeah, they're all great.
Just like Megalopolis. So
wow, that was good.
No. So
you're a funny guy.
No. What do you mean funny?
Like you're funny. You're funny. You're a funny guy. You know.
Funny how? Like funny looking?
Like
like a clown? Do I amuse you?
Just the way you say things. It's funny.
No. What do you mean by funny?
Like
what the fuck is so funny?
Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, I got you.
Shout out to anybody that understood the reference.
Yeah,
I mean, we probably made it like 8 times on this podcast.
Oh,
but,
a billion. We should do an episode on that, but anyway.
We will.
No, I really liked Sidney Prescott, Neve Campbell's character.
She's one of the best leads in like
she
a
was
slasher
badass.
movies.
Yeah,
she's great.
She wasn't stupid. Even when her first confrontation with Ghostface, like she showed a lot of bravery, like a lot of moxie that I wasn't expecting from a movie like this. Yeah. There's a little more to her, and I'm assuming there's a lot more to her with the sequels.
She maintains those characteristics, but still like evolves very naturally as a character throughout the series, which is just so refreshing.
Yeah, she plays the girl next door, suburban, high school girl that's probably gonna go to the state college or whatever, but right, like typical shit that you see in a movie. But she isn't though. At the same time, she is going through a lot of trauma, and she's constantly having to advocate for herself in this movie, constantly having to
which is very original too.
Yeah,
it's just like she's not the most standard person,
No,
she actually has a very tragic backstory to her, which is like you'd expect something like that just to come from the sequel after she experienced everything in the original, but they establish her as like a tragic character who is now having to deal with this new horrible thing happening to her, of this serial killer chasing her around.
Yeah. I will say though, and I think by this point we can get into spoilers. Let's go into the reveal first, because I have something to say after the reveal.
That's great. Yeah, because I love the reveal of this movie. I think it's goddamn perfect. It subverts your expectations in the best possible way too, because the movie is not subtle, and it never once is trying to be subtle whatsoever. No. And it spoon feeds you who the killer is. And then, this has been explained by many people that have seen this film before, but the movie spoon feeds you who the killer is, and then the killer turns out to be who you think it is, who is Sydney's boyfriend Billy, played by Skeet Ulrich, and he's great in the movie too. He gives an incredible performance,
and also,
that's not really the twist of the movie.
Right.
The twist of the movie is that he has an accomplice.
Right.
Which is Matthew Lillard, Stu Macher.
Also Shaggy from the live-action Scooby-Doo movies.
He'll never get away from these two movies as his big ones.
No.
And that's okay, because he's great in both movies. But very, very different characters at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Very eccentric, but when Stu is revealed as the killer, he's just a maniac. He's just a complete out-of-pocket maniac, but he plays it so well. And he ad-libs so many of his dialogue at the very end of this movie too.
Really?
Yeah, like my favorite line delivery in this whole movie is the scene where Sydney turns the tables and she calls them.
Yeah.
And Billy's talking to him or her on the phone, and then she's just like, "You better come find me, you pansy-ass mama's boy." And then Billy just throws the phone right at Stu's head, and then Matthew Lillard just ad-libs the line, "You fucking hit me with a phone, dick!" And that line delivery kills me every time.
Well, there's the one self-aware line that he has in that same scene when they're on the phone with Sydney, when she's like, "Why did you
what's your motive?"
Yeah, what's your motive in this? Like, why are you, with Billy?
Yeah.
And he's like, low self-esteem.
Peer pressure, yeah. I'm far too sensitive.
Yeah, it's like, this movie just, like, and no matter what scene it's in, it's gonna take any chance it can to subvert your expectations.
Literally. And she's just like, "Did you really call the police?" And she's like, "Yes, I did." And he's like, "My mom and dad are going to be so mad at me."
Oh, God. and he's bleeding out because his accomplice
because they're just like
him.
because they're both just sitting there losing a shitload of blood.
Okay, so now that we've gotten through that, I do want to say that the very, very final ending is just it got to the point where it's, okay, this is fucking stupid.
Like which part specifically?
So they're looking for Sydney in the house, right? Billy and Stu, because she's called the police. They're trying to find her, and she pops out of the closet in the ghost-faced costume and stabs her boyfriend Billy. Yeah. And it was so stupid to me that she would just put on the costume.
Yeah, I guess.
And like it was very weird.
Sure. I get that. To be totally honest, I've never really understood why that specific thing happens, but I'm just like, no harm, no foul to me.
Well, because there's already been so much harm in this movie already. It's like, what's one more just stupid thing?
Pretty much.
Well, even like Rose McGowan gets stuck in a like cat door or dog door, whatever the fuck you call it, and she's like raised up in the
and it, like,
garage
breaks her
door.
Neck. Yeah. Just ridiculous stuff.
There's a lot of ridiculous
but like they're just constantly thinking of ourselves, and they do this with every movie where they're just like they're always trying to be like, what's some crazy ass way that we can find a way to like kill somebody or Ghostface kill somebody. And I think that's this movie's moment where it's just like, what if Rose McGowan just tries to crawl through a cat door, gets stuck, and then Ghostface lifts her up by pressing the button on the garage door, and it lifts her up off the ground, and she breaks her neck on the ceiling. Just like, okay.
Well, and also, Ghostface is getting his ass kicked a lot by a lot of these women.
And that never stops throughout this series.
Yeah,
it's one of the charms of Ghostface is that he seems like he's just a person.
Yeah, for sure.
He's just like
he's a guy he's
flopping around all the time. He's falling over. He's just getting kicked off. And then he just disappears without a trace so quickly. Yeah. And that never stops throughout the series.
Okay, good to know.
Like, no matter how modern the series feels, there'll always be, like, a quick edit of him getting his ass kicked, cutting away for 2 seconds, and then the character looks back and he's, like, long gone.
You have
like a ghost.
You have piqued my interest in because these movies are all on HBO Max. Like, I think I will take a chance and probably watch at least the first 3.
I am serious. They are great. Every single one of them is great. All of them add something to the series that's so new and different. The formula is always still there because it's always a fresh new cast of supporting characters that are all just there to get murdered and for somebody to get revealed as the killer. But it's always a lot of fun because it's just like it's a whodunit movie. It's just like who's committing all these murders, and then you're relatively refreshed by whoever the reveal turns out to be by the end. At least for me,
they have Wes Craven has had. It's interesting what niche that he's exploited because he's got the slasher fans, but these are also it's almost like Scary Movie where there's
the original title for this movie.
Wait, really?
Yeah, the original working title for the screenplay was Scary Movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's on the nose. It always has been. And then eventually, the original Scary Movie would go on to mainly parody this movie.
Yeah, I know that about the first Scary Movie. But and there it's very, of course, this movie is more serious than the Scary Movie franchise. But there's still comedy, and I think the commentary on the movie industry is still there, and it's always fresh because the movie industry is always changing. The
third one like ages very disturbingly with like the subject.
It ages well,
like it ages so well, but it's disturbing how that movie was inciting a conversation that would not become that popular in pop culture for another 20 years.
And Wes Craven didn't write the first one.
He didn't write any of them. I mean, he did a lot of revisions.
Oh, okay.
For a lot of these movies that he directed. But Kevin Williamson is the main writer for this one, the second one, and the fourth one.
Do we know how much... Damn, you really did your research. Do we know how much this movie made in 96?
I don't know how much it made per se, but I did know that it performed extremely well.
Okay.
Because it was going up against Jerry Maguire when it was released that weekend.
Yeah.
And it didn't come in at number 1, but it increased its box office returns for the next 3 weeks after its weekend.
Yeah.
Its initial weekend. So movies don't really do that often.
No.
Even today.
No.
Like, movies don't come out and then make more money than their initial release weekend on subsequent weeks.
Especially not this weekend.
No, especially not this. Yikes. Yikers. Welcome to Yikers Island.
Whoa,
I'll show you your cell right over here, Joker.
God. Damn. Right into the HBO Max cell.
Right into the HBO Max.
We could bet right now. I want to put money on this. Or maybe we can bet a beer.
Okay, great.
Joker 2 is going to be on HBO Max by December.
I won't take that bet. I'm almost certain that it will be.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. Fine. Maybe
let's pick a week then in December.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say third week, just before Christmas.
Okay, I'll say second week.
Word.
Shake hands.
One beer.
One beer.
All right,
cool. We probably do that shit anyway.
Yeah,
like,
even if both of us are wrong, it's just let's just go get some beer.
Yeah, anyway. we're buying rounds anyway. So we're getting beers after this recording.
Yes, we are.
And we're probably gonna watch Joker 2 if we're drunk enough.
Maybe we'll see what happens tonight.
Who knows? Yeah.
We might feel a little thespianistic.
Or like
that's a word.
Or like we want to waste our money.
Yeah, like we want to waste our money. Good Lord. No, but this wasn't even the first time that Wes Craven had dabbled into self-meta commentary for himself. He did a movie a couple years before this called New Nightmare, which was a Freddy Krueger movie that takes place in the realm of Freddy Krueger movies. It's Wes Craven plays himself in the movie. He got Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, to return to play herself, and they're on set producing a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And in the making of the movie, Freddy Krueger starts haunting the set, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's a really good movie, shocking. It's probably my second favorite movie of the Nightmare on Elm Street films that I've seen, because the original is one of my favorites, one of my favorite horror movies. But it's literally just commentating on all of itself as a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So this was the second time that he did a meta commentary on slasher movies.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. Yeah.
It's not
that might be too meta for me. That's too on the nose.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun because Freddy has a new design that doesn't look anything like he did in the original. Robert Englund still returns to play Freddy in the movie, and he's honestly a lot scarier in New Nightmare than he is in the original. And it gets a little silly in the third act, but it's a fun movie, and conceptually it's really well executed.
Is it Thanksgiving horror movie silly?
No, it takes itself a lot more seriously than that. But it works, surprisingly. It's got a lot to say about slashers even before that whole self-commentary became really popular with the original Scream. But it's a good movie. For anybody out there that didn't know about that and like Nightmare on Elm Street, check out New Nightmare. It's really good. But for Scream, yeah, I love this movie. Great ending, great reveal of the killers, great cast. I love everybody. Courtney Cox is really good. What's her face? Neve Campbell punches Courtney Cox in the face, actually does it in the movie.
Yeah. And Courtney Cox being in this movie also makes it just 10 times more 90s.
I know, right?
Because that was when
Friends was
on.
happening at the same time this movie came out, too.
Yeah.
And David Arquette plays Dewey in the movie.
Right.
He's great. Love his. He's just such a buffoon in this movie.
He's Dwight.
But he's charming, and he's a likable character.
Eating his ice cream.
Yep.
And his ice cream's getting in his mustache.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing half the time. Yeah, he's really good. Whole cast is great in this movie. Everybody performs really well. What's his face? Randy, Jamie Kennedy. He's really good in this movie too.
Oh, that guy from Mask 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the other scary movie.
That is a scary movie. Yeah. Like the weird uncanny valley.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other thoughts for a first timer from you?
It like I said before, if you want to get into slashers, I think Scream's actually a really good movie to get into because it almost reminds you not to take these movies seriously.
It does.
Right? Like it's these movies are just guys in makeup and just weird costumes, and they're killing these kids that you should already know going into the movie that they're gonna be killed. Right, so like, just there's no reason to be scared.
I think that's what aids in the accessibility of the fear factor of this movie, though, is that it is a real person going around just committing a bunch of series of murders.
Yes.
It's not some supernatural force where it's just like you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Right.
It's something that, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Halloween, could actually happen.
Yeah.
And the movie knows that about itself, which is why the meta commentary works so well, because it's always dialogue about like, well, in this movie the killer did this, or this could happen because it happened in this movie, or the scene where Jamie Kennedy is sitting there on the couch watching Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, and he's just going, Jamie, behind you, and then Ghostface is slowly creeping up behind him, and it's just like, this is brilliant stuff. He thought about, like, Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson clearly thought about everything they wanted to do and always seemed to know exactly what they were doing in this movie.
Well, they are obviously lovers of the genre. They've seen these movies just a ton of times. Yeah. And Wes Craven made one of the greatest slashers of all time.
Craven and, like, Carpenter are, like, two, like, godfathers of horror.
Well, they even make a joke in this movie. Wes Carpenter, like the Rose McGowan's character, is trying to name the different directors for movies. They do an even further bit about that in the recent two ones, where they have a character. First of all, R.I.P. to Wes Craven, for anyone that didn't know, he died like 10 years ago. Oh yeah.
And they have a character in the fifth movie named Wes, and the two lead characters of the newer two movies that kind of take over for Sidney Prescott have the last name Carpenter.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're known as the Carpenter sisters. But they're the two.
Are they
leads.
related to John Carpenter?
No, but their last names are just homages to John Carpenter. And so it's just like there's constant...
Oh, the characters in the movies,
yes,
not the actors.
Not the actors,
oh, okay,
no.
okay.
The characters in the movie are named after John Carpenter.
Right.
But there's homages sprinkled throughout this first one, just constantly. And even when you were talking about like the production of the town of Woodsboro, and how it just seems like your typical Disney Channel town where all the characters are congregating, they make a bit about that in the movie when everything starts to go to shit and they impose curfews. And Rose McGowan's character Tatum just goes, look at it, it's the town that dreaded sundown, which is a slasher from the 70s based on the Texarkana Moonlight Murders.
Jesus. I think I want to make a 4th of July horror movie. It's just going to be Uncle Sam just like...
I can see it.
Killing people.
Tax evasion.
He's going to...
Slice.
He's going to slam somebody in just one of those big barbecue pits. Just slam their head in there.
He's going to paper cut somebody to death with like a $1 bill.
Just do a Roman candle. Just light firecrackers in people's faces.
Shoot off fireworks at people's faces.
Fire,
Limitless chances.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Or a Easter...
There's got to be an Easter slasher out there.
You think so?
I don't know.
I want to look that up.
It's not popular if it is.
No, because you're saying that we would know about it.
Probably. That would be great. Easter slasher.
So do you dress up like evil, like slasher Jesus or slasher Easter Bunny?
Easter Bunny.
Okay,
it's more accessible that way.
And
I don't think a movie with like slasher Jesus would get released at all.
Oh no,
no, that'd be cool, but
would it be?
I don't think it would.
I dressed up as Jesus once at last Halloween party I was at a few years ago.
Did you actually?
I was dressed as Jesus.
Why Jesus?
You know what? It's one of those. You know when you just go into a Halloween store like right before Halloween, and then you're looking around and it's at the point where you're trying to find like what costume, and I saw the Jesus costume. I was like, fuck yeah.
And it spoke to you?
It did. Okay. Jesus spoke to me that day. Dressed like me. And I had the wig and the thorn crown and the red sash and everything.
Really?
Yeah, I was big at the party.
You went for it.
I did. Well, yeah.
Good for you.
And I think that's the last. I'm not doing Halloween celebrations anymore. No. I'm retired.
Fair enough.
I'm done.
Fair enough. No more Jesus.
What's your favorite Halloween costume of all time?
that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Probably in 2008 when I did Heath Ledger's Joker.
Okay, 2008. Mm-hmm. Okay, wow.
Yeah, I did like my
Throwback.
mother. My mother did all the makeup.
Wow.
We went to thrift stores to get costumes.
Wow.
I'm not gonna lie, I looked good.
Dude, shout out to Davis's mom for
her
throwing that
like
together.
the makeup work she did was spectacular, like
wow.
actually spectacular. You would be like, if I can find old pictures of it, I will totally show you, and you will be impressed.
My favorite. In kindergarten, I dressed up as an astronaut, and it was almost like two costumes in one because it had like just like a jumpsuit that had NASA on it, but also it came with its own helmet and backpack. And my mom, before we had our Halloween party at school, my mom took this backpack and inflated it with air at a gas station with the air pump. And she brings the backpack, and I was dressed as a full like astronaut. That's in impressive. Like suit. Like shout out to my mom. That Halloween that's number one. That astronaut costume just will be goated all time.
That's really good.
And then Jesus being drunk with other grad students and dressing up as Jesus. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
You know, my mother did a lot of my Halloween costumes when I was younger, and I would ask her to do some of the most random stuff. After Batman Begins came out, I wanted to be Scarecrow for Halloween. So she went and bought like a potato sack and just like cut it up.
Yeah, why not?
Put some eyes into it, and then like did like a mouth stitching like Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow has in Batman Begins. And then I just got like kind of a nice suit. Yeah, and I just put it on my head and I went a Scarecrow.
That's amazing.
It was great. And then do you remember the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Who were you dressed up as?
This is very specific.
Okay.
But do you remember Davy Jones' first mate with the hammerhead?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
She developed a costume as that guy because that's who I wanted to go as.
No.
So she got me like a skin suit, covered it with like a bunch, like she glued a bunch of like just marine creatures and like marine vegetation all over it. And then she like cut out this like styrofoam head for me to kind of like wear around in the shape of a hammerhead shark and put eyes on it. And that's how I was dressed.
I have to see a picture of this. Yeah, you got to show that to me.
She used to kill it. She used to kill it with my
your mom. Really shout out to Davis's mom for being a Halloween fiend.
She's a huge fan of Halloween as well, and so she would never.
What does she dress up as? Because if she's going hard out like this for you,
I don't remember. So there was this one year where she went as like a Greek princess or something this year.
Okay.
It was a great costume she had. But we went to a family Halloween party.
Okay.
And I decided I was lazy that year, so I just bought a costume from the Halloween store.
Right.
And I just bought I got a werewolf costume.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna go as a werewolf. And the mask was scary as shit. And I have a lot of younger cousins. And so I walked into this Halloween party with the scariest werewolf mask imaginable, and all of my younger cousins ran for the hills. And I couldn't wear it for the rest of the party because like every time I put it on, they would start crying, and I felt like an asshole. But it was great. It was fun, but the mask was very uncomfortable, admittedly. So
wow, Halloween stories. Maybe every episode will have a Halloween stories.
Yeah, I'm sure I can drudge up some old ones.
I don't have too many. Halloween, I'm not as big of a fan.
Because you don't like scary stuff.
Not even just
Let me tell you about yourself. You don't. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean you can. Sure.
I'm not your psychiatrist. It's fine.
No, you don't look like her.
I hope not.
Anyway, any final thoughts about Scream?
No, I mean I love this franchise. I think every single film in the series is terrific. I think the original is it's the original, and easy to argue is the best one. But I honestly don't know if I really do think it's the best one in this series. In a lot of ways, they do get better as they go along because they have more commentary to state and a lot of more interesting supporting characters, a lot of fun people that are cast in the series that you would not have you will not expect. A lot of huge names get involved in this series, and it's pretty great. But I love the original. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I was just excited to talk about it. I love this movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, how about you? What are any final thoughts?
Yeah, like I said, would I recommend it? Sure. Like it didn't blow me away, but it was entertaining, and like I said, it did feel nice to see a movie that I could say like I've never seen anything quite like this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
If you're in the Halloween spirit, you haven't seen Scream before, go watch Wes Craven's original 1996 Scream. It's a great time. And yeah, that's all I got for everybody today. This was fun.
This was fun.
Yeah. So, as we were saying, tune in every Friday where we have a new episode that we're going to be releasing up until Halloween. If you want to hear us mention any other horror movies, send in any of your questions or comments to our leaf pile, looseleafmedia.com, or what is it?
Looseleafmedia95
at gmail.com.
Yes.
Yeah. Looseleafmedia95 at gmail.com. Otherwise, you can look us up on Instagram at looseleafmedia. We've kind of like reframed a lot of our imagery for the month. We're pretty excited about that. We're getting festive.
Mm-hmm.
DM us anytime with any suggestions if you'd like to hear us mention, because I'm going to be watching a lot of horror movies off the clock. Some I've seen, some I haven't seen, and if anybody has anything that they'd like to recommend that I can watch and shout out to you on one of these upcoming episodes, send us a DM or shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Mm-hmm. And until then, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for coming to our Loose Leaf Halloween specials. My name is Davis Leaf. I did this with my co-host,
YNW Row.
Word. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Take care.